Who are me hearties? So, hello everybody, how are you all doing? I understand that the theme for this week, now we did pirate pot pies yesterday, didn't we? But I've been in school today. What a wonderful treat that was, as always. And they were telling me that it's actually pirates and mermaids. So, I have got a plan today for something to do for pirates, and then I've got a plan for Thursday, an arts and crafts for mermaids. So let me just tell you what you're going to need on Thursday, in case you're watching. You will need some paints or some coloured pens. You might need either some white paper that you can colour in or some little cupcake cases. If you've got any of those spare, we're going to decorate those. And you will need a large piece of paper. So you either need, if you've got a big piece of paper at home that you can use, fabulous, or you're going to need some A4 bits that you can stick together with some tape. Probably would work more easily. So that's our plan for Thursday. I'm looking that way because what I've already done ready for Thursday is drying, and it actually looks quite cool and I'm quite excited about it. So that's Thursday. So today what we're going to try to do, whether this is going to work or not, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, as it is with most of these things. We're going to try to make a telescope, a pirate telescope. Now, obviously, there are means and ways of you being able to make pirate masks and pirate hats and pirate little patches. So if you've got any paper at home, or you've got any black paper or white paper that you can colour in, you can just cut out a little pirate patch, can't you, with a nice little bit of tape, and then you can either stick it to a hat, or if you cut it long enough, you can make it around your face. If you've got paper plates, you could make a pirate hat the same way as my other video. So I did one out of paper plates, didn't I, for hats. You can look at that, and you could cut the shape out of a pirate hat and then wear that as a pirate hat. And then we're going to need a telescope. So what I've done for today, now you're either going to need white paper that you can colour in, or if you've got some black paper at home, fabulous. You're going to need some toilet rolls, empty tubes. You're going to need glue, possibly sellotape, and if you've got anything that you might want to use, so I've got some gold ribbon that I'm going to use for mine, and I've also got a bit of red ribbon that I'm going to use for mine. So you might want to use some of those bits and pieces. I've also cut out of white paper, I've cut the shape of a skull and crossbones that I'm going to stick on the bottom of my telescope. So let me turn this down and you can have a look. And I've done some of this already to save you the job of having to watch me do it, because we all know that that can be quite boring. So I had 2 tubes that came from, you know, the big tall kitchen roll that you use. So those tubes are taller, aren't they? So I had 2 of those. Now I found one that's slightly smaller than the other one. They fit inside each other. So I've cut them off slightly, because we don't want a massive long telescope. That would be a bit bizarre, wouldn't it? I've cut them off slightly, and they're going to be able to go bigger and smaller like a telescope would. I've then got a small toilet roll that fits inside the end of that. Now, as you can see, this one's a little bit thinner. So this one actually at the moment falls through. I'm hoping once I've wrapped it with paper that might stop it from happening. If it doesn't, I'm going to stick it to the inside of here. But we'll give that a go and see what happens. I might actually, whilst I'm thinking about that, cut out another piece of black, because I think if I roll it, I'm just doing this whilst I'm talking to you, because I've just suddenly thought about it now. But I think if I thicken up the paper, that will definitely help me. So let me just cut this bit whilst I'm thinking. See, this is what always happens with me, isn't it? I get going with an idea and then I get another idea. Right, that I think will make it thick enough. So what you're going to do, you're going to cut out a piece of paper that is the same length as your toilet roll, and is obviously same width, sorry, as your toilet roll, and obviously longer than you need, because you're going to roll it round like that. Okay, so you need 3 of those. Now what I'm going to do, as I'm doing this, I'm actually going to put some glue on the inside of here, in the hope, now have you spotted what I haven't done today? What I haven't done is put down anything underneath here. So I've just suddenly realised that. I've got a spare piece of paper here that's rubbish. Let me put that down. That's better. So we're going to glue the black paper. Now you don't need to use this much glue if you don't want to. I just want to make sure that mine is stuck all the way around. And I think this is a good way of doing it, especially when one of these pieces is going in and out of the other. So let's do this. Okay, we're going to put the toilet roll on one end. And we're going to wrap. It needs to be tight so that it matches the toilet roll tube. And you want to make sure that it's equal. There we go. So that's wrapped all the way round. Now you can see sometimes it does get a little bit like that on the ends where it won't stick down. That's not a problem. Either keep pressing it or you can use some sellotape. That also works. And then I've got a little bit of excess here. Can you see it's sticking over? How can I show you? There you go. It's sticking over the edge. So all I'm going to do is just trim around the end of the toilet roll so that the black piece of paper is what we would call flush. That means next to, level with the end. Can you see that? I'll do that on both ends. Now you want to do that with all three of your tubes. So it's quite straightforward, isn't it? Shouldn't be too complicated, this one. So there's one done. Now that little corner does not want to stick, so I'm thinking it hasn't got maybe quite enough glue on it. I have now just added too much glue and it's come out in a big chunk. That's not what we want. There we go, that's better. Right, so there's one done. Okay, got that one. And I'm just going to repeat what I've just done with the other two. So let's pop this one on here. Now I know we don't really need all this glue, but it does help it to stick to your toilet roll. And the last thing you want is to be using your telescope and all your black to come off, because that would be incredibly frustrating. Go especially careful with the toilet roll that's going inside the other one, if you've got that. Now you don't need to do that. I just happen to have been very lucky. I've been saving my toilet rolls up so that I knew I had enough to be able to do my arts and crafts projects for you. So I'm just lucky that I found two that fit one inside the other. You don't need to do that. You could just have your two and put one inside the other. That's absolutely fine. Anything you can do to change this up is not a problem. You've got to make it work with what you've got in your house and what your grown-up will let you do. There we go. So we've got another one stuck on. And again, it's overlapping, but we know that's not a problem. We're just going to cut round the edge of the tube. This is the boring bit for you, isn't it, guys? Sorry. There we are. Now, I'm not going to try fitting one inside the other yet, because I'm slightly concerned that it might take the paper off. I want to make sure which one goes, yeah, that one goes in there. Now we've got the last one to do. Now we've done this one doubly thick, haven't we? And we did that deliberately because my toilet roll is much, much, much smaller, and we want to thicken it out a little bit so that it doesn't fall out the tube. Now this might not work. If it doesn't work, doesn't matter. We can always make another plan. You know, we've always got another plan in the pipelines. We like a good plan, don't we? Right, so here's one. Now we're not too worried about this one because this is the one that's just our extra thickening layer. So we're going to stick that one on like that. If the extra glue comes over the edge, don't worry too much about that. It's not a problem because it dries in and you won't be able to see it. So this is our top layer. This is our one that's going to be on show. So this is the one that we need to stick really well. I've also realised, I'm so sorry, when I do all these things and I can bang the glue on the work surface, or yesterday when I was making the pies and I was banging the tray, oh my goodness, when I watched it back it was so frustrating. I'm very sorry that that happened. I am aware of it now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stop doing it, but I will try. So I'm going to make sure that I start with the little seam on there. Now you might find, as I've done, my outside bit is a little bit shorter than my inside bit, but that isn't a problem. We don't worry about these things. We don't worry about them. So we're going to pull that nice and tight. Now I haven't done a very good job with this because, as you can see, it's gone a little bit. Can you see that? It's all doubled over here and doubled over here. But do we worry about these things? No, we do not. We're just going to cut it off. So here we go. Let's cut round the edges and we're going to neaten up the edges. And then we get to do the fun bit, which is to actually put it all together, decorate it and make it work. Now some of these bits we're going to need to decorate before we put it together because otherwise it's going to be a little bit tricky. And the other things we can decorate once it is stuck together. So have a little think whilst I'm doing this and whilst you're either copying me or watching and plan for tomorrow or the next day when you might do it. Have a little think about how you might like to decorate your telescope. If you've been learning about pirates, you probably know an awful lot more about them than I do. So you've probably got a lot of different ideas that you can use. So there we go. There is our 3 different shapes. Now I need to remember which one goes in which. So the smallest one is going to go in here. Now it hasn't quite filled out. If I did another black layer, that would fill out enough, but I'm happy with that. It's not going to completely fall out and I can hold it. What I've got another plan that I might add to the bottom of that, which may help. So this is my middle one. Now, oh, this is the moment. Will that go in there with the black paper on? I might need to do a little bit of careful manoeuvring around to make sure that the black paper doesn't get stuck. Ta-da! Hey, presto! So now, once you've moved it backwards and forwards a few times, it will get a little bit looser. There we go. So I've now got a telescope that I can make bigger or smaller. Okay, which is fabulous. I'm going to leave that in there whilst I do my next bit. So I've now got, I'm going to put the seam of the paper, I can turn that around as well, the seam of the paper at the back. So I know that that's the back where the paper joins, and I'm going to stick my design on the front. So I've made my little skull. Yes, I can hear your voices telling me it's not that great, but we know that my artistic skills aren't that fantastic. It's just to give an idea. So we're going to put the little skull here. It's got some glue on it. And I've made some crossbones. I know, I can hear you all. But I enjoy these things, you know what I'm like. Right, there's our little crossbones. So they can go underneath. So that's our skull and crossbones. And for me, that's gone on my bottom one. You don't have to copy, you can put it wherever you like. I'm putting mine on my bottom one. Now the next thing I want to do, now I'm going to use double-sided sticky tape for this. You can choose what you want to use. I'm going to put some red ribbon around the bottom of mine. So let's make sure I cut it the right length. The last thing we want is for it to be too short. Now I'm going to put mine, I think because double-sided sticky tape in these situations makes life a little bit easier than glue. However, if all you've got is glue, not a problem. Glue away. This would probably stick quite well with glue, to be fair, because it's got quite a nice underneath. Now you could always do this if you haven't got a ribbon. You could always do this with a trusty piece of white paper. All you have to do is cut a thin strip of the white paper, colour it in, and it means that you can colour it in whatever colour you like. You might like to do yours spotty, or stripy, like the trousers that they sometimes wear. So you can colour it in whatever colour you like, and then you can stick that across the bottom. So as always, you don't have to make it look like mine. It's open to you using your imagination. And you can change it however you like. And like I said, because you're learning about the pirates, you will know an awful lot more than I know about them. You might say to me, oh, Mish, seriously? Like, red is so wrong. I never had red. But I don't know that, you see. So I'm going to find my little cross at the back where my paper joins. And I'm going to start there. And I'm just going to wrap this all the way around the bottom of my telescope. I'm hoping I've cut it just a little bit too long. I have, that's exactly what I wanted to do to make sure I've got enough to join it. There we go. So that's the bottom with some red wrapped around it. Now, what I've decided to do for this one, I'm going to do glue for this, and I'm going to just put some gold around here. So we know the pirates always went out to get their gold, didn't they? Is that right? Have I got that right, or have I got that wrong? Probably got it wrong. So I'm actually going to use glue. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to go, so we'll try. If it works, hey presto. If it doesn't, does it matter? No, we just try something else. So let's put some glue on this side and some glue on here. There we go. Now, I was lucky to find some sparkly ribbons. I've got a little arts and crafts drawer in my house from when I used to look after my gorgeous niece Navia. But I don't see her now because she's all grown up. So I'm using it for you guys. So I'm very lucky that I've got this in here I can use. Right, that worked. Now, when you use glue, we've always got that whole slippery issue, and it makes life a little bit harder when you're doing arts and crafts, but it doesn't matter. We just know we've got to let it dry a little bit. So there we go. There's the gold around there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video so I don't bore you anymore. I'm going to put another bit of gold around here. I'm going to put some more red around here because I think that'll stop it from slipping down. And I'm just going to finish off the top with gold. So I'll do that super quick and I'll come back to you when it's done. I'm back. Here we go. So I've put some red ribbon around the bottom and some gold around the top. Now you can see, even just by having that one, you could still make a telescope out of it. So you could just have one toilet roll and cover it and have it as the telescope. Or you can put them all together. Now this red around the bottom has definitely helped, look. It holds it in there. So there you have it. One pirate telescope. Now if you go very careful, you can fold your telescope down so that when the time comes and the ships are near, get out your telescope and spy on all of that treasure. Have fun making your very own pirate telescope. Bye-bye, see you later.